The most interesting question for Allied Bank right now is how do you grow a bank that is already the fifth largest bank in Pakistan? What makes this question even more interesting is the fact that the sponsors of the bank might not even be interested in growing the bank any further. Welcome to another episode of Featured in Profit, and today we're going to dig deep into Allied Bank's story and its future plans. Started by a silk trader, Khwaja Bashir Bucks, as Australasia Bank in Lahore back in 1942, and now being sponsored by cloth traders from Faisalabad or known as Lailpur, Allied Bank has quite possibly the most interesting history among the big five Pakistani banks. Since its inception, the bank continued to grow right up until 1974, when the leftist Prime Minister Zulfikar Ali Bhutto's administration nationalized all the banks in Pakistan. Australasia Bank was a small bank back then, with a presence largely confined to Punjab alone. So, in addition to nationalizing the bank, the government also merged it with Sarhad Bank, Lahore Commercial Bank, and Pakistan Bank, making it one of the five large nationalized commercial banks in the country, and hence Allied Bank was born. The nationalization era was the predictable disaster that one would expect it to be. By 1988, the five nationalized banks collectively cost the government of Pakistan 8.8% of the country's total GDP in what had been by then become an annual tradition of banking bailouts. After being nationalized, the government privatized the bank in 1991 and sold it to its employees, which again was a huge disaster. Now, non performing loans were at 16% of the loan book when the management buyout was completed in 1993, and they hit a record 36% a decade later in 2003. The first two post privatization CEOs of the bank ended their tenures by being sentenced to prison on corruption charges. And keep in mind that this was back in the 1990s. To get caught and jailed for corruption, you had to be really, really corrupt. Interestingly enough, Allied Bank is the only bank in Pakistan to be sold off twice by the government of Pakistan. By this time, the Musharraf administration had come into office and appointed Dr. Ishrat Hussain, a Boston University trained economist, at the helm of the central bank. Hussain determined that Allied Bank's first privatization was not enough and that the bank needed to be sold again. And Khalid Sherwani, a UBL trained officer, was hired as Allied Bank's CEO in 2000 to clean house and make matters right. Now, finally, in 2004, the Ibrahim Group took over Allied Bank for some 14.4 billion rupees, which roughly equates to 237 million US dollars, to buy a 75% controlling stake in Allied Bank. Eventually, Ibrahim Leasing, a company operated by the Ibrahim Group, was merged into the bank to form a single financial services equity owned by the conglomerate. Now, since then, the bank has pretty much maintained its position in the Pakistani banking sector and has seen a fair share of CEOs leading the bank, with somewhat success. The bank has also managed to successfully survive the 2008 world financial crisis, the worst in history. But now, under its current management, led by Tahir Qureshi, the bank faces an unenviable task: trying to grow a bank whose ownership seems interested in stability and low risk, and whose market position makes it difficult for the bank to make big moves. Allied Bank currently commands a 7.3% share of the total bank deposits in Pakistan, making it the fifth largest bank in the country in a highly concentrated market. The bank's market share has fluctuated around 7% of the market for virtually all of the last 2 decades. So that then begs the question: how does one grow this bank that is already so big? With over 1 trillion rupees in deposits and a balance sheet with 1.5 trillion in assets, how do any of the big banks grow at all then? For any businesses that reach this stage, there are effectively two routes: grow market share through acquisition, or growth of the market itself. To find out what Allied Bank plans to do next, check out the detailed feature on Allied Bank covered by Profit by heading over to our website www.profit.com.pk. Let us know in the comments below what type of content and videos you would like to see from Profit, and do not forget to subscribe and hit that like button.